Tree Country 1330 WTRE.
All right, it is Thursday morning, and it is our morning that Sheriff Durant usually joins us, and he is in this morning. And we've had a big week at the fair, and I know you had a lot of activity yesterday evening at the fair.
We did. It was very, very busy. It was really encouraging to see all the people that came out. They wanted to get that last bit of the fair, right?
The last blast.
So it was very, very, very crowded. So it was a great night. It really was.
Well, we have you've brought some guests in with us this morning, and I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce. And
okay,
we're going to talk this morning, a little different visit this morning.
I brought some very special guests with us. I told you, I think on the last month, I said tune in because we're going to bring you some groundbreaking, very, very special people. And I have a couple of residents that are inside my detention center right now. They're inmate. We call them inmates. Some people call them prisoners. But I have also Chaplain Dave Burnett with me today, and I'm going to I've talked all week on the fair. They're going to tell their testimony. They're going to talk about some of the things that are going on with the MRT program that we have in the facility, the REC that they've gone through, the REC, which are obviously the Residents Encounter Christ, which those are, this is a very integral piece in that arrest to recovery model. You know, they didn't get here without my officers loving them enough to stop them, right? And because they couldn't stop themselves. So, and then once we get them in there and they get clean and sober, and then they have a clearer mind, and then we want to introduce that heart change if they want it, right? Because it's all voluntary, but they have to want it. And these are two individuals right here these are true changed people that are even inside my facility. So, I thought that the public would be encouraged today to hear their testimony and hear some of the things that have gone on while in the detention center and the things that we're doing inside of there. So we're kind of going to bring you a little bit inside the programs with the detention center. So I'm going to turn it over to Chaplain Dave Burnett, and he'll do the introductions. And I'm going to step away because I've talked all week at the fair, and my voice will give out. I'm sure it will.
All right.
Dave
Thanks,
Burnett.
Sheriff.
Well, good morning. It's so good to be with you guys this morning, and I truly am blessed and honored to be able to introduce you to a couple special people in my life. To my right is a young man that I've come to love and appreciate very, very much. Kevin Hendershot he's just knocking the ball out of the ballpark as far as the things that he's been doing through all the programs that we offer, but particularly with the centerpiece of what we've been able to do because of United Fund and the grant that was awarded to the Sheriff's Department earlier this year. So, Kevin, you want to say hello this morning?
Hey.
Well, he's going to share his testimony here in just a little bit, but I'll tell you, just so proud of this man, and look forward to you hearing some of his story. I don't know what questions you guys might have teed up, but you can ask whatever you want to. They'll just speak from the heart, both of these individuals. So Kevin Hendershot, so glad that he's able to be here this morning. And also to my left, normally you would think that, ladies go first, and I'm sorry that Arleena, I didn't introduce you, but this is Arleena Carr, and Arleena is with Janet Hodson on the female side. I don't get to spend near as much time with the ladies as with the guys, and intentionally, because if you think about a lot of things that happen in the lives of ladies that spend time in jail, unfortunately, it's stupid men that have caused a great deal of damage in the lives of these precious women. And so, but Janet Hodson is my right arm there with the ladies, and she does such an excellent job with them.
Yes, she does.
Arleena, you want to say hello to everybody
Hello.
this morning? Well, they're going to talk to you about different things. Whatever you want to ask them, feel free to ask it. I'm going to step out of the way because this is their hour. This is their time to be able to talk. And just want to say thank you so much for the privilege, the opportunity. Sheriff Durant, thank you so much for the privilege and opportunity. And so let's go away with the interview. How would you like to start with Arleena and Kevin?
All right. Well, I think what we'll do, Arleena, if you're ready, you want to just share with us a little bit of your story?
Okay, that's fine. My name's Arleena Carr. I'm 35. I guess I would start when I was 7. I had a lot of trauma all the way up until about 20. I started drinking and cutting at a very young age. I'm a very severe self-mutilator, as you can tell. I have scars everywhere. I actually didn't believe in Jesus for a long time. The first and only time that I opened my heart up to God was at the REC. I'm still struggling, but I'm getting there. I have a newfound faith. I walked with Judas a lot. I always leaned on him. I did a lot of drugs, drank a lot to numb and ease the pain. And eventually that didn't even help. I started cutting and burning more. I would burn and cut just to deal with everyday life things. I started starving myself. I became bulimic. I would eat and then I would puke up my food. I became angry at the world. I hated everybody in my life. I lost my kids. I had to sign open adoption for all 3 of my children, which is a good thing. I did what was best for them. I'm no good to them right now, so I hope down in the future that they'll be looking up to me when they come to find me, that I'll be a proud person that they can call mom eventually down the road. The MRT groups and classes that I do, I haven't been able to go to recently because I've gotten in trouble. I tattooed myself while I was in the jail, so I had to take the punishment for what I did. And so I lost my privileges on that. But it's a very great class. I love Janet. She's taught me a lot. She even tells me that, a lot of questions that I need to ask, I can just ask and stuff. Here recently, I kind of went down into like a little bit of a depression stage again because I kind of been struggling, like I said, with my faith and stuff. But I know it's not God's fault. It's mine. I became abusive. Physically abusive to my exes. My recent ex that I also got a battery charge for, I'd put my hands on him a lot, and I shouldn't have. I get angry at my family. I treat my mom like crap. I really don't mean to. I treat my family like crap, too. But they're always there for me, even though sometimes I question a lot of things, but I know it's not them, it's myself. Mm-hmm. Let's see, what else do I need? I need to apologize for all of it because I didn't mean any of it. It was because of the stuff that I was going through. The drugs didn't help anything. The alcohol made it worse. I also started doing pills and heroin too. I started doing that here recently. The last year I was homeless. I was in places living at Tent City. That's when I even started cutting myself and burning myself more just for the fun of it sometimes. It was also to relieve a lot of pain because I have an issue with emotional problems. It's hard for me to feel things for other people than normal people do. I'm working on that.
So you realize it, right, Arleena? I mean, you know you have your anger and all of that. It's just hard to control it.
Yes, ma'am. It's very hard. When it comes to anger issues with me, I don't like to take it out on other people. Sometimes I do, but more so I take it out on myself. That's when the self-mutilation and the self-hurt comes in, Stan. Because I'm struggling with trying to control it. Mm-hmm. And I've been using the Bible. The last time I did hurt myself was I would say 2 weeks ago. I punched the toilet a couple times and hit the wall a couple times. And it didn't really make me feel better. It did for a second, but I still felt like crap. I was still angry and mad. So when I started getting mad here this last week, I opened the Bible up and I just started crying and started reading it. And it didn't open it to a section I knew. I just asked God when I put my hand on the Bible, please take me to where I need to be. And I started reading it, and it made me feel better. I cried and everything, and the overwhelming sense of wanting to hurt myself was gone. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to say that's gone forever because I still fight it every day.
Sure.
But I struggle with it.
So when you work with Janet, does she help give you tools to work with to help you work through some of those feelings and that aggressiveness that kind of comes over you?
Yes, she prays for us too. She tells us to go to the Bible. There's inscriptions in the Bible too, like when we're feeling angry, when we're mad, hurt, anything we need, we can just go to a scripture in the Bible and read it, and it's supposed to help us. That's also what the MRT books are for too. Mm-hmm. It's also for struggles, not just addiction and everything else, or just about God. It's also also about yourself. So it helps you recognize the problems in yourself and to be honest about it. So it's really helpful. I kind of miss it because I haven't, like I said, I've kind of lost my privilege here this last week. So, but that's my responsibility. I have to take the fault for it.
I just want to lean into that for just a little bit because Arleena is explaining to you, her choices.
Exactly.
Because the MRT is intentionally presented in such a way that everything that we offer to the individuals, the residents in the jail, is their choice. So MRT basically stands for if you can change the way you think and you can change the way you feel, then you'll change the way you act. So I'm just going to repeat that. I know you guys heard me, but if you change the way you think and change the way you feel, then you can change the way you act. And I hope that you heard very clearly Arleena working through that process within her own mind. And one of the resources that she chooses to use, because we present all the options for them, right? Because nobody's forced to do anything against their own will. This is all their choices. And Arleena chooses to go to her Bible. She chooses to open up. She chooses to be able, and these are the important things that we want to make sure that the public understands, that what we offer to individuals is the same opportunity they have every single day, whether it's on the inside or the outside. But they're learning how to make those choices for themselves. And we're just so proud of Arleena and all the progress she's already made. She doesn't understand yet how far along she really is in the process of her own sobriety, her own healing, and her own strengthening. So you hear her even today kind of taking a step back. Sure. But Arleena just wants you to be encouraged by all that you've already done. And as these ladies talk to you, just thank you so much for being candid with them. Because that takes a lot of courage to open up and share with anybody, especially the public, about what you've been working through in your life. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the fact that, you're realizing and recognizing and working through those and making, working on making your choices.
It's a struggle every day. It really is. Like I said, I fell back this last weekend, kind of like a depression state, but I'm trying to get out of here. Get out of it. Sorry, my bad. But I try to focus because I know at the end of the day, I know I'm another day clean. I'm another day sober, and I know that I haven't hurt myself, even though I broke my promise, and I broke it twice so far. But like I said, I'm still struggling, but I'm getting there. I know that it's not just me anymore, that there is people that actually do love and care about you, and that, aren't going to dog you and put you down and belittle you all the time. And even if they do say those things, it's what you feel about yourself is totally different than what somebody else actually says and feels about you.
And I think you say it a lot, Arleena, when you said at the end of every day, because every day you get through a day and you have a positive day, you've got a little more strength as you head into the next one. And it's just going to keep on getting better, and you're going to be healthy and doing a good job.
I'm glad. I'm actually glad that I got picked up when I did, because being put in jail actually saved my life, because I was going to kill myself. I was going to do a hot shot, to be honest about it, and I was going to kill myself that last night, and I got picked up at 7:30 in the next morning, and I haven't been to sleep for like a couple of days anyways, because I'm a really bad drug addict and alcoholic, so I mixed the two together with self-mutilation. And I had enough of the world, and I had enough of myself, and being in there cleaned me up. It opened my eyes up, and then doing the REC, it really opened me up, and it made me think there's a lot of women and Christian women that have been through the same struggles that I have, and it really opened me up a lot, because I didn't think there was people out there that was just like me and that cared. So I'm loving where I'm at, and I'm glad that I'm there.
God's got a bigger plan for you. That's why you're here with us.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
With all you've been through, because you go in and it's to go from the outside to the inside, I'm just guessing, big change, big life changes. What's your drive? What's your drive every day to do better and get better and want to get out?
My kids. That's the number one thing on my mind every day. I worry about my kids. I worry that right now their impression of me is not very good. which that is my own fault. But when they get older and they want to come and find me and want to know me, I want to be a mother they can be proud of, not who I was. I don't want to be that drug addict that was stealing, cheating, manipulating, and abusing people. I don't want to be the bad mother that they can remember at such a young age of being the alcoholic that all she wanted to do was drink and didn't care about them enough to put it down. And I want to be a better person for just not for them, but also for myself.
Do you feel like your habits that you formed over the years, I know you talked about going through a lot of trauma, is there a family history of that, or was this something new that you encountered?
I think it is part of family history. I'm not really sure about all of my family history, but it was part of it, and then I was brought into it, I think, and a lot of it destroyed me. Not just being molested or raped and stuff like that, but just like pain-wise, from exes to abuse, to not just physical abuse, it was mental and emotional abuse, to being forgotten about, to feeling worthless and hopeless, and just basically all around feeling of nothingness, that you're not worth anything, and I'm not worth the body that I'm in. And that's what I felt a lot. And it still carries with me till this day. I still have trauma with it. And I will the rest of my life. But I'm trying to deal with all that. And with accepting God into my heart, even though I struggle with that too, I know that, like she said, I'm going to be better. I'm going to have a better life. And if it's not just for my kids, it also needs to be just for myself.
Very good. All right. Kevin, tell us your story.
Good morning. This is Kevin Hendershot. I've struggled with the drug and criminal lifestyle for 20 years. I started, I was 15, 16 years old. And it wasn't a result of, any kind of trauma or anything like that. It was just, I was trying to be one of the cool kids, I thought that it was, if you was partying, you was one of the cool kids. And it all spiraled from there. It started out with weed, and then by between 17 and 18, I was hooked on crack. I ended up doing a little time in prison, come home, and fell back into it again. And then a couple years later, I was introduced to meth, and it's been a roller coaster since then. I've had people tell me, you need to stop this, you've got a problem. Well, in my mind, it was, no, I'm controlling this. I can stop whenever I want. I'm just doing this because it's fun. And little did I know, no, I was in the back seat, somebody else was driving, and it's ruined my life, honestly. I've been in the detention center for coming up on a year now. I was one of the first 3 guys to start this new MRT program, and it's branched out to quite a few guys, and it's an amazing program. It's made me rethink and reevaluate everything about myself and the way I think and the way I feel and act. And we've got there's 4 of us in there that's actually graduating today, and it's the group around our table is we're not just inmates together. We're a family around that table. We're there to support each other, and I can't talk about what has been said in group and stuff like that, but I've seen and heard some stories that it's just it's moving what you hear people talk about they've went through. Nobody's story is the same. I can't walk a mile in your shoes just like you can't walk a mile in mine, but we'll walk down the street together and we'll do the right thing. And one of the things I've always struggled with is I've always felt like people were judging me, kind of looking down on me. I was always kind of seeking approval, and I was probably getting it, but I just wasn't seeing it or hearing it because I was lost in my addiction. And I've got 3 amazing kids out here waiting for me. I've got a 9-year-old boy that, he wants to try playing football this year. I've got twin daughters that are 8. One of them, she played basketball this last year and does gymnastics, and she wants to do gymnastics and play softball. She wants to go out for softball this year, which it's awesome. And then her sister, she does dance, and she does cheerleading. She actually went to the Colts cheer camp, and she's actually an official junior Colts cheerleader. And I'm missing out on so many amazing things with my kids, and it's all because I've struggled with this addiction for so long. And I've been working with Dave Burnett here in the MRT program, and with all the other guys around the table, and it's really been life changing. It really has. I've got a new confidence in myself. Everybody around the table, the farther they get through the program, you can see the confidence in them. You can hear it in their voice, the way they carry themselves. You can see it in their eyes. They just, they're not down on life anymore. They realize, everybody makes mistakes, and we can't let the past define our future. And like I tell everybody in class all the time, yesterday's history and tomorrow's a mystery, and it's a great thing. I feel a lot better now that I've done a different program in prison, and the problem with that program is the first rule they taught us when we started that program was fake it to make it. And they want to talk about you have to have a higher power. You got to put your trust and faith into something else to help you change. And no matter how much faith you have or how much trust you've got in someone or something, nothing or no one, not even God, can make you change. You're only going to change if you want to. And I've always said that, I'm not an addict. I'm just getting high because it's fun. Little did I know, I was not in control. And I'm tired of living that life. I'm tired of being away from my kids. I'm tired of wearing this orange jumpsuit. Don't get me wrong. We've got some good COs there at the jail. It's a lot different environment than what it is in prison. Prison's a whole different animal than what it is at the detention center. At the prison, you might have to fight just for your meal, to where here you don't have to watch over your shoulder every day. And the program's done a lot for me. It really has. And it was an honor to be chosen to be one of the first ones to start it. And I've actually volunteered to be one of the co-facilitators for some of the newer guys coming in. And my intentions are once I am released, I'm not sure when that'll be, but I still plan on volunteering my time and coming back in and working with the guys at the detention center.
So tell me, you said you're going to graduate today. So tell me kind of what the steps are in getting to that point.
There's 12 steps in that we do actually in group, and then 13 through 16. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 13 through 16 is outside of the group. The 12 steps are, step 1 is definitely honesty, and it's not just about being honest with everybody around you. You got to be honest with yourself, and then you got trust is step 2, and that's something that us guys in general, not just in the detention center, even out here on the street, trust is something that it's hard to get. You don't trust everybody else, but you don't trust yourself, which causes you to not trust everybody else. And trust is a big thing. And then, step 3, we've got, she had to put me on the spot. Acceptance. And then 4 is raising awareness. 5's healing damaged relationships. 6, 6 and 7, goals. Setting goals for yourself, short-term, long-term goals. 8, being a positive instead of a negative.
You didn't know you were going to be tested today, did you?
Yeah, especially on the radio. And then, I'm pulling a blank on the last ones, but we're, like I was saying, I've done programs in prison, and they, it's always about a higher power, or, always, what kind of trauma, it was. Nobody's ever been like, did you just do it because you wanted to? You thought it was fun? No, there's got to be a problem behind it. And I come from a great family. We used to have, big dinners on weekends, and, I don't have a childhood trauma to say, this is why I turned to this, and this is why I hate everybody, and blah, blah, blah. This is why I'm mad. Nope. I just fell into the wrong crowd. I grew up in St. Paul, went to North Decatur, and I was introduced to the wrong thing at the wrong time, and everything just spiraled from there.
So when you look at that from your perspective, and you've got these kiddos at home that you're ready to get home to, how have you worked on that relationship, and how do you keep that communication open with them so that you keep a relationship going?
I actually have joint custody with my kids. Their mother, she's my ex-wife. She's an amazing mom. She really is. She put up with a lot of my crap for about 6.5 years. And there was a lot of lies, a lot of manipulation, a lot of broken promises and broken trust. And she tried to get me to, come back from the dark side. And I was like, I ain't got a problem. No. I'm working. I'm the one paying the bills. I can do what I want. And my relationship with my kids is great. You just have to. If you seen me and my kids together, you'd know that there's no love lost. I have a great relationship with my kids. I talk to them all the time. I give visits with them through video visits every now and then. But I love my kids. My kids love me, and like I said, I'm missing out on some amazing things, and I can't wait to get out and watch one of my daughters play softball, or go stand and watch my other daughter stand on the 50-yard line at Lucas Oil Stadium with the rest of the Colts cheerleaders. And my little boy, he's got Asperger's, and it used to be really bad, but and he, anybody that knows anything about autism or anything like that, they know that a kid has to have they have a routine, and if you break that routine, it's a bad day. And for him to be wanting to go out for football, it's just amazing, and I'm missing out on all these amazing things, and it's made me realize that that fun I thought I was having, it's just not fun. I'm hurting some really great people out there. They really care about me, and they need me out there. And instead, I've spent more time out of their life being locked up than I have been with them.
What about your parents? So, because this started at teenage years.
Yes. So,
where's your relationship with your parents at this point?
My parents, they were together most of my life. They actually just divorced a few years ago. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. I'm part of being a meth addict that you time travel. I mean, I had a great relationship. I've always had a great relationship with my family. I mean, my dad died last year, and that's when I really turned up. And within a couple of months, I was arrested again. I didn't realize that I was spiraling downhill after that happened. I was carrying a lot of blame for it because he was disabled. He was on oxygen, had a trach, and I struggled daily. I moved him in with me in my house because he had sold his trailer and moved into an RV because he thought it was going to be a good idea. I'm not exactly sure what made him think that, but he would just fall asleep and smoking cigarettes, and then he had the bright idea that he was going to try to warm up his RV with one of them little butane Coleman tanks, and he about burnt the whole thing down. Well, I'm like, okay, you're moving in with me so I can help take care of you. And it was a struggle for almost a year with him living with me, in and out of the hospital. And he just, I was trying to help him, but he wasn't taking the help, and it got to the point where he was like kind of blacking out, and he would just go on a rampage through the house, and he'd have conversations that made no sense, and he'd be wide awake looking right at you and talking about, oh, you can kill somebody and get paid $20,000, but if you shoot their truck, you're only getting 10. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, where do you apply for that? And he's like, just across the railroad tracks. And he was just being as serious as he could. And I'm like, no. And then I'm like, you've got to do something. You've got to go get some help. I can't do this because, he hit the point where he thought that the government was trying to transport us to a foreign country and kick us out of the United States. So he went and destroyed one whole room of the house, throwing propane tanks, like big ones that you would have on the grill out on the front porch, and I heated with a wood stove, and he was throwing big chunks of wood through the house, and he said that he was trying, and then he just I had a motorcycle in this little workroom, and I'd been working on it for months, rebuilding it, repainting it, and he destroyed it. And he said that was the vehicle they was going to use to transport us. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
so Kevin, like that, the stress, where obviously your dad was having, health issues and all of that. So did that trigger you into? Oh
yeah, it definitely did, because I was trying to take care of myself. Plus the house that I was living in, which I was renting it fairly cheap because it needed a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Because I was doing work on it. Plus I was having to do all this splitting the wood to, heat the house. Plus I was having to worry about my kids, and my girlfriend at the time, she has 3 kids. And so, every other weekend there's 6 kids in the house. And then I'm, on top of that, I'm dealing with my dad's health issues and trying to, keep him alive. And after he had that last incident, I'm like, look, if you're not going to go get some help, then you've got to find somewhere else to go. And within 4 days of him being gone from the house, all he took was 1 bag of clothes, and within 4 days of him being gone, he died. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, it was his blood sugar dropped to 11. I had no idea he was even a diabetic.
Right.
And I really blamed myself a lot for a long time, because I felt that if I wouldn't have kicked him out, if I wouldn't have told him he needed to find somewhere else to live, that I would have been there. I could have helped him. I could have got some help for him. And it just, because of the blame and the weight that it was putting on my shoulders, I turned to my addiction worse than ever, and I pushed my girlfriend away at the time. I mean, I pushed everybody away, and so a lot of good people that saw good in me and knew that I could do better, and I just kind of pushed them away, and I fell deeper and deeper into my addiction to the point where it just there was no looking back.
Yeah, now, that kind of a trigger, that guilt and that trying to wrestle with the demons, and that's for sure.
Yeah, I've still got my mom. She's actually just started going to church, one of the Christian churches here in town. I went to the REC program, and it was an amazing event. And during the REC program, I actually turned my life over to God for the first time. And then it wasn't long after that. A couple days later, I found out that my mom started going to church, and one of the guys from her church was actually there. And I'm like, wow, and I've got to talking to my mom, and I've tried reading a little bit of the Bible. I struggle a lot trying to understand a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff in there that jumps out, and it really grabs a hold of you. And I'm actually looking forward to going to church with my mom when I get out. And that's something I never really saw myself saying about me or her, honestly. But I mean, it's a good feeling to be able to look forward to sharing something like that with my mom. Something that I mean, we've always been close. She's been in my life my whole life. I mean, she threatens me all the time. I brought you into this world, I'll take you out of it. But
mine does that type of mom thing. That's right.
But blah blah. This is why I'm mad. Nope. I just fell into the wrong crowd. I mean, I grew up in St. Paul, went to North Decatur, and I was introduced to the wrong thing at the wrong time, and everything just spiraled from there.
So when you look at that from your perspective, and you've got these kiddos at home that you're ready to get home to, how have you worked on that relationship, and how do you keep that communication open with them so that you keep a relationship going?
I actually have joint custody with my kids. Their mother, she's my ex-wife. She's an amazing mom. She really is. She put up with a lot of my crap for about 6.5 years. And there was a lot of lies, a lot of manipulation, a lot of broken promises and broken trust. And she tried to get me to, come back from the dark side. And I was like, I ain't got a problem. No. I'm working. I'm the one paying the bills. I can do what I want. And my relationship with my kids is great. You just have to. If you've seen me and my kids together, you'd know that there's no love lost. I have a great relationship with my kids. I talk to them all the time. I give visits with them through video visits every now and then. But I love my kids. My kids love me, and I mean, like I said, I'm missing out on some amazing things, and I can't wait to get out and watch one of my daughters play softball, or go stand and watch my other daughter stand on the 50-yard line at Lucas Oil Stadium with the rest of the Colts cheerleaders. And my little boy, he's got Asperger's, and it used to be really bad, but and he, anybody that knows anything about autism or anything like that, they know that a kid has to have they have a routine, and if you break that routine, it's a bad day. And for him to be wanting to go out for football, it's just amazing, and I'm missing out on all these amazing things, and it's made me realize that that fun I thought I was having, it's just not fun. I'm hurting some really great people out there. They really care about me, and they need me out there. And instead, I've spent more time out of their life being locked up than I have been with them.
What about your parents? So, because this started at teenage years.
Yes.
So, where's your relationship with your parents at this point?
My parents, they were together most of my life. They actually just split, divorced a few years ago. It was probably 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. I'm part of being a meth addict that you time travel. I had a great relationship. I've always had a great relationship with my family. My dad died last year, and that's when I really turned up, and within a couple of months I was arrested again. I didn't realize that I was spiraling downhill after that happened. I was carrying a lot of blame for it because he was disabled. He was on oxygen, had a trach, and I struggled daily. I moved him in with me in my house because he had sold his trailer and moved into an RV because he thought it was going to be a good idea. I'm not exactly sure what made him think that, but he would just fall asleep and smoking cigarettes, and then he had the bright idea that he was going to try to warm up his RV with one of them little butane Coleman tanks, and he about burnt the whole thing down. Well, I'm like, okay, you're moving in with me so I can help take care of you. And it was a struggle for almost a year with him living with me, in and out of the hospital. And I was trying to help him, but he wasn't taking the help, and it got to the point where he was like kind of blacking out, and he would just go on a rampage through the house, and he'd have conversations that made no sense, and he'd be wide awake looking right at you and talking about, oh, you can kill somebody and get paid $20,000, but if you shoot their truck, you're only getting 10. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, where do you apply for that? And he's like, just across the railroad tracks. And he was just being as serious as he could. And I'm like, no. And then I'm like, you've got to do something. You've got to go get some help. I can't do this because, he hit the point where he thought that the government was trying to transport us to a foreign country and kick us out of the United States. So he went and destroyed one whole room of the house, throwing propane tanks, like big ones that you would have on the grill out on the front porch, and I heated with a wood stove, and he was throwing big chunks of wood through the house, and he said that he was trying, and then he just ripped I had a motorcycle in this little workroom, and I'd been working on it for months, rebuilding it, repainting it, and he destroyed it. And he said that was the vehicle they was going to use to transport us. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
so Kevin, like that, the stress, where obviously your dad was having, health issues and all of that. So did that trigger you into? Oh
yeah, it definitely did, because I was trying to take care of myself. Plus the house that I was living in, which I got it. I was renting it fairly cheap because it needed a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Because I was doing work on it. Plus I was having to do all this splitting the wood to heat the house. Plus I was having to worry about my kids, and my girlfriend at the time, she has 3 kids, and so every other weekend there's 6 kids in the house, and then I'm on top of that I'm dealing with my dad's health issues and trying to keep him alive. And after he had that last incident, I'm like, look, if you're not gonna go get some help, then you've got to find somewhere else to go. And within 4 days of him being gone from the house, all he took was one bag of clothes, and within 4 days of him being gone, he died. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, it was his blood sugar dropped to 11. I had no idea he was even a diabetic.
Right.
And I really blamed myself a lot for a long time, because I felt that if I wouldn't have kicked him out, if I wouldn't have told him he needed to find somewhere else to live, that I would have been there. I could have helped him. I could have got some help for him. And it just, because of the blame and the weight that it was putting on my shoulders, I turned to my addiction worse than ever, and I pushed my girlfriend away at the time. I mean, I pushed everybody away, and a lot of good people that saw good in me and knew that I could do better, and I just kind of pushed them away, and I fell deeper and deeper into my addiction to the point where it just there was no looking back.
Yeah. Now, that kind of a trigger, that guilt, and that trying to wrestle with the demons, and that's for sure.
Yeah, I've still got my mom. She's actually just started going to church, one of the Christian churches here in town. I went to the REC program, and it was an amazing event. And during the REC program, I actually turned my life over to God for the first time, and then it wasn't long after that. A couple days later, I found out that my mom started going to church, and one of the guys from her church was actually there, and I'm like, wow, and I've got to talking to my mom, and I've tried reading a little bit of the Bible. I struggle a lot trying to understand a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff in there that jumps out, and it really grabs a hold of you. And I'm actually looking forward to going to church with my mom when I get out. And that's something I never really saw myself saying about me or her, honestly. But I mean, it's a good feeling to be able to look forward to sharing something like that with my mom. Something that we've always been close. She's been in my life my whole life. She threatens me all the time. I brought you into this world, I'll take you out of it. But
mine does that too. The mom thing. That's right.
But no matter what, she's always been there for me. Even when I'm being retarded and when everybody else has turned their back and said just get away, she's been there.
So being through the program, I can hear. I can hear your steps from where you were at, where you're at now, and going out there. Do you feel like when the time comes and you're back out into a daily life, daily routine, you've got those kiddos right there, you've got the tools and the strength?
Oh, yes.
For every day, too.
For the first time in a long time, I can hold my head up. I can look at myself in the mirror. I've spent so much of my life running around like every day was Halloween, running around like I'm wearing a mask. And for a long time, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I have to use a mirror to shave, but that's not looking at yourself, making eye contact with yourself and knowing who or what you're looking at. And today I can look at myself in the mirror and I can be proud of who I am. And the program it's really changed my life. And I can't wait to get out there and prove to everyone just how much it has changed me. Mm-hmm. Where a lot of us that are in the program, we're hoping that eventually that the courts will understand that even though we've made mistakes, maybe this program has changed us enough to where maybe we don't deserve to go to prison. We can go home on some house arrest, probation, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Because like I was saying earlier, prison is a different animal than what it is at the detention center. And myself, my honest opinion, what all the progress I've made and everything I've been through at the detention center with this program, the MRT program and the REC, to go to prison now would almost be. I honestly feel like I might as well throw that all out the window, because you've got to become a different person when you go to prison.
Just for survival, right? Just
for survival.
Mm-hmm.
It's some places are different than others. You got level 1s, 2s, 3s, whatever. Some, they're laid back. You go to work, go back to your bunk, mm-hmm. watch some TV, listen to radio, whatever. Then others, you're fighting for your meals every day, and it's and it takes you right back to the drug and criminal lifestyle that you're trying to avoid. And like I honestly hope I get the chance to prove that, that, yeah, granted I've made mistakes, but my past is not going to define my future. And I can't wait to get out there and show my kids that I'm different and be somebody they can be proud of. Well, they're already proud, but something they can be more proud of, that they can be like, oh, look what my daddy did. You know what I mean? He granted, he's made mistakes, but he took these and turned it into something great. And I've got, on top of the program, and like I said, I have every intention of coming back to the detention center once I'm released and volunteering my time with Chaplain Burnett and working with the guys in there to hopefully, where they feel the way I do about this program. The other graduates that are graduating with me today, I mean, they're the same way. It's there's a lot of powerful stuff in there, and it's you'll get goosebumps listening to some of the people talk. And I've got I actually lost the house I was living in when I got arrested. Granted, I mean, I could probably always go back and live with my mom if I wanted to, but I've got some really good friends out here that they've told me they've been here for me since I've been locked up, and they've told me that when I get out, I've got a place to come to, and it's a place where it's clean. They're sober. They've got a dozen kids running around the house, and they're just some really great people. And I mean, when I got arrested, I hadn't even known them a year, and they still are like, when you're released, you've got a place to live. We've got you. We'll help you with it, whatever you need. And it's a great feeling to know that somebody that you've known such a short time is there, and I consider them family. I really do. And I just can't wait to get out and prove everything for everybody.
So Arleena, sitting here, because you're in two different spots, right?
Yeah.
But what does hearing this testimony do for you?
Do you want honesty? I know him, and I know his dad. I actually used to do dope with his dad. Yeah, I used to go and hang out at the trailer park and everything. So it's kind of like he's done really good from what I could tell. Yeah, he's changed a lot from the last time I seen him in the trailer park and stuff. He probably doesn't remember me. I look totally different. So everybody changes. So yeah, I think he's done really good since the last time I've seen him, and it's been quite a couple of years and stuff. And I am sorry about your dad. I did not know about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Apologize for that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't recognize you. like I said earlier, I've time traveled.
Yes, and that does do weird things to your brain.
So is it odd for you guys? Sorry, I'm in the healthcare field too.
You're fine.
But like you talk about the time travel and it does odd things to your brains. So now that you've stepped back and you're clean and you're in an environment trying to get better, what do you think, or how do you process that when you look back at what you have been through and what your mind did do to you in that time? Because I don't think a lot of people understand that haven't done it or haven't interacted with people that have, what it really does to you.
Oh, man. Besides time traveling, I mean, you'll run from lights. You'll see things. You'll hallucinate. I mean, I was up for 46 days at one point.
Wow.
And, of course, at this point, I was on the run. I had took off in my vehicle and led cops on a chase. I got away. And, well, I was determined that if I fell asleep, that's when they was going to catch me. Well, for 46 days, I didn't sleep. And there was a couple of nights where I was along Flat Rock River between St. Omer and St. Paul, the middle of the night, and I was running from lights in the middle of the woods where I know now there was probably no lights.
There were no lights. Yes, Kevin.
And you just, it really messes with your head. You're paranoid. You think everybody's out to get you. And on top of that, not only do you think everybody's out to get you, but since they're going to try to get me, I'm going to get them first. So, and then you lose your jobs, and then, what do? You resort to the criminal lifestyle instead of just the drug lifestyle. So you start, stealing this, stealing that. I've done a lot of wrong in my life. I've hurt a lot of people, and I've got a lot of people to apologize to, and, I just hope that they can forgive me. I understand that there's a lot of people out there that I have hurt and I've wronged that they'll never be able to forgive me. But to be able to just look at them and tell them, hey, I know I've made a mistake. I know I hurt you. I know I've done some wrong. But I'm sorry. You don't have to accept my apology, but I want you to know it's there.
But I think it speaks volumes when you own it. I think that is huge. It does,
and it's to open up and get it off your chest. It's a huge weight off your shoulders. Just even if they're like, I don't care, I don't ever want to see you again. Don't even mention my name. I'm sorry.
Right. On your end, though, you've worked yourself to the point of accepting the responsibility for it. Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about like the time travel and all that. Physically on your body, I mean, you can't survive like that. So tell us just a little bit about physically. How does that drug addiction?
You literally starve yourself. You don't want to eat at all. And most of the time you're sucking water down like crazy. That's about the only basically thing that I crave to me.
Was water?
Was water. Mm-hmm. Water or pop. But I drank my alcohol too, but I would always crave, if it was one hit, it was one hit after another, after another. They can't sit there and say, I could just put it down. I could not. There was no control whatsoever. Mm-hmm. I had none. And I would go and I would do prostitution things just so I could get another fix. And if I couldn't find it somewhere there, I would go somewhere else and do things for them so I could get another fix. Uh-huh. And so, I was even begging people for money, and I would tell them the truth of what I was using it for. If it was for alcohol, if it was for drugs, if it was for cigarettes and stuff like that. You don't really care at that point in time. You're not caring about anybody else. You're caring about your next fix.
Just desperation somewhat.
Yep, just to get that high again. You're chasing right after it. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to put it down. It's hard to say no. It really is. Once you get started, it's hard to stop. That's why I'm glad that I did get picked up and got put in jail, because I tell you what, if I wasn't dead, I'd be sitting at my tent right now chugging down alcohol and smoking my dope.
Mm-hmm. Things would never change.
No. And I needed this to help me get changed.
Mm-hmm. So how long were you homeless, Arleena?
I've been homeless. I have family here, but because they don't trust me about some of the stuff that I do and everything, which I don't blame them, it's my fault. I've lived in their backyard in a tent. I've lived in the shed. I've lived in the shed behind Swifties, and I've also lived in the tent behind Trackside Cafe, where everybody calls Tent City. Mm-hmm. It's been for the last year. Mm-hmm. Off and on. I've even went to Kentucky. I've slept outside in Kentucky on the streets. I've done dope down there, run and everything. So, I haven't really tried. I want to change, but I haven't really tried to change. And being put in jail also helps a lot because, one, I can't get anything, and it keeps me sober and clear-minded and clean. Mm-hmm. Two, I have meals and a bed. I'm safe. Mm-hmm. Because being out there, you're always struggling for safety. You always, like he said, you always think somebody's out to get you. And I still in the jail still think that I'm, still somebody's going out to get to me. But it's a permanent effect on your mind.
Oh, sure.
It's a constant thing. So you have to retrain everything, and it's sometimes it's hard. It really is a hard decision, and it's tough. And like he said, it takes more than just God. It has to take you, and I struggle with that every day too. Because I struggle within myself. And it's not, and sometimes I take it out on God, and I know I beat myself up, and I'm like, it's not God's fault, it's your fault. And I have to take the responsibilities for my own actions. I can't blame God, I can't blame anybody else, I have to blame myself. And I'm taking those, and that's hard. It's a hard swallow for me to take my own punishments and my own responsibilities for the actions that I've made, because I've never had to do that.
So you talked about, you started drugs. How young were you when all that started, the drugs and alcohol?
I was about 8, I think, when I broke into my mom's vodka, and I started filling it up with water. And I think she knew, but she really didn't say anything. I started smoking cigarettes. 12, I started smoking marijuana, and that was also with my friends that I was hanging out with and everything. I was about 15 when I first came into meth, and that was with an ex, and that was also when I first started self-mutilating myself. At first it started on the leg, and then it started on the arms. The further up it went, I started getting into the dope more. I would put it down, but then I started picking up alcohol. Actually, when I got pregnant with my first son, Wolverick, I actually stopped. I drank a lot. I was going to commit suicide before I found out I was pregnant with Wolverick, because I felt hopeless. I felt, unwanted. I felt worthless, back to that nothingness.
How old were you then?
I was actually 27 when I got pregnant with my first son, Wolverick. And he's actually 7 this year. And he saved my life. He's my security. And then I started smoking pot again after he was born, and I was drinking here and there. And then I started drinking really bad. I actually found out from the hospital here that I was 6 months along with my daughter, and I didn't even know I was pregnant, and I was drinking heavily every day. I couldn't keep anything down but the alcohol. And my son's seen that. And it's something that a 2-year-old boy should not see every day. It's not that I neglected him. He had everything he needed, and he was taken care of. I was neglecting myself. And he would see me cry all the time, drinking all the time. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to take him outside. I just wanted to keep him inside and be a hermit. And because I was afraid of the world. I was scared. And I didn't want him to be like I was. I didn't want to put him out there with the evil world that we were in, that was in my mind. I wanted him to be safe and secure and be a hermit like I was. I wanted to keep him from socializing.
Keep him in your bubble.
Right. And that was also destroying him, and I didn't realize that until here lately, because I've been thinking of a lot of things, a lot of stuff. And I feel bad for my daughter, because I drank the first 6 months that I was pregnant with her, didn't even know I was pregnant. And then I stopped when I found out that I was pregnant with her. And then stuff happened. My daughter and my son, her name's Ivy Rose, and Wolverick, they got taken when she was a month old because of an accident that happened. I was unsupervising them, actually, and it's my fault. It's my son had a problem with her, and we got it all cleared out and everything. I don't hold it against him. I'm not mad at him about it. It's my fault, my responsibility. And then I tried to clean myself up, but it seemed like I was fighting a losing battle. So I just went downhill more. I started drinking every day, completely, all day long. I would not stop. I was having outbursts. I was getting violent, angry. I started doing drugs even more. I got back on the meth. I was doing it every day, all day long. I would not sleep, and it was awful. It was horrible. And to me, I felt like it made me a better person. I felt like I was prettier when I was high. I felt like I was on top of the world. Nobody could touch me, and I felt a lot better when I was high than when I was sober. I felt more better about myself than when I was sober and clean. And it's weird that that's what drugs do to you. They lie to you, and they tell you, oh, you're beautiful, you're pretty, I'm the only one that's here for you. I'll take care of you. I'll always be there. I'll never leave. And that's what they do. They trick you and they manipulate you to think like that. And that's how my mindset was.
The addiction. So where did you get the money for the alcohol and the drugs?
Well, if I didn't bum and barter off of my family and everything, I was asking people for it. I would stand at Speedway or go around on the streets walking and begging for money and loose change. And I would tell them the truth about everything. If I needed food, cat food, cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, I didn't lie about it. I always told them the truth.
So going back to being a teenager in school, did you attend school much? Well,
I was not. I had a lot of learning disabilities and comprehension issues. Actually, when I was 16, my principal told me to drop out of school because there was nothing more they could do for me. And I really actually want to get my education back. I would love to be able to do my GED and try to do an ITT Tech College scholarship like my mom did. She did 2 years or 3 years of ITT Tech College, and I'm proud of her for that, because that got me to where I was thinking, where I wanted to go back to school and everything else, because I want to further my education. I'm a little slow on things, and my comprehension is not very good, but I also think that's not all my fault. I think it also has to do with the teachers in the school. They didn't have enough patience. They don't have enough time for one-on-one with kids, and I think that they should, because that's what also a lot of kids will go to doing drugs and stuff because they feel like they're not any good, that they're worthless, they're not good for the world, because we're educationalists, because we don't have that education, because we don't have that comprehension and that learning, that we feel like we're not worth anything, that we cannot contribute to the world.
Kind of feel left out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And lost and put behind.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Yes.
Thank you very much.
We wish you both the very best. I know, like I said, God's got a plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we just pray that you've heard the message loud and clear, that, we've got men and women that are behind bars that are really great people. And, but I also hope you heard it loud and clear from both of these individuals that getting arrested has been their salvation. It's been the place where they got started on the choices that they're now making for themselves. And I appreciate so much what Arleena said, but Kevin said it so succinctly and clearly. And I've been a pastor for 40 years. God will not make you do something against your own will. He loves us too much. He set up the economy of this world, and every person has a free will. They've got their own ability to make choices. And thank God that we live in a county, and thank God that we live in a part of the United States. Thank God that we live where we do at the time that we do, because God is using what's happening right now in this county to really change some special people's lives. And you've heard from 2 of them this morning, loud and clear. So, Kevin, thank you for your courage. Arleena, thank you for your courage to come on here and talk to the public. No hiding in the shadows.
Thank you. You're welcome.
No more running from the shadows.
Right. So, Kevin, if you could, we have a listener maybe that's out there and they're in a tough place right now and they're struggling with how to what they're going to do. What is one little piece of advice you give them to hopefully get them steered back onto the path?
Oh, man. If I can tell people anything, it's that there's people out here that do care. Being lost in drugs, you think everybody's out to get you. You think the world's judging you. You think you're on your own. You think just because meth adds another 24 hours to your day, that it's a good thing. It's not. It ruins your life. It takes away the things that are most important. And if you think that you're alone and that people don't care, that there's people out here that do care. I've seen it myself. Complete strangers have come up to me and said, what is there anything you need? And and then to have to feel the confidence from Chaplain Burnett, even Sheriff Durant, at the REC. Sheriff Durant and his wife both hugged me, and told me that they make you feel like better than nothing, and where a lot of people out here in addiction struggle, feeling like they are nothing, and thinking that the drug, the drugs don't judge you. The pipe or the needle doesn't tell you no. It's always there for you. It doesn't turn its back on you. Well, there's people out here in the world that's there to do the same thing, and you'll feel a lot better that way than you will with the drugs.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, 932, Tree Country 1330.